Hi. Oh, can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Okay.
Hear you.
Hello again.
Hi.
So it's possible that that entire introduction was without sound.
Oh.
Well, for those of us who are just joining, like myself, you're watching Puppet Time Online. Puppet Time Online is a chance to sit down with the puppetry community's finest, and me. Clearly, I'm showing my seams as the and me part today. But anyway, I've got Katie over here watching your comments and questions. So put those in the chat like, hey, I can't hear you. That would be a good thing to put in the chat. And then Katie can see that. Anyway.
Thank you for those who did.
Yes, thank you.
We're good now.
Okay, great. So, hi, Julie.
Hey.
You're a ceramics artist, mask maker, and puppeteer. You're part of this Handmade Puppet Dreams quarantine micro commission cohort with me. And our films are showing this Saturday for the first time in public. Are you excited?
I'm really excited.
Sweet. Okay, we're going to talk about those in a second.
Yeah.
But I always like to start by asking my guests about how they got into puppetry. So I wonder if you can tell me a little bit about how puppets first came to you.
Okay. Reel me in if I start going on tangents.
This is what it's about.
Okay. I remember, that Cookie Monster. Got that.
Oh, yeah. We have a picture of you in very early age.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This was like a distinct memory, and probably everyone, I mean, a lot of people in puppetry now would say like Sesame Street, the Muppets, right?
Totally.
But I have like a very distinct memory of that day. Like we finally got like an antenna for our TV or something. And I was sitting on my mom's lap and she was like, "This is TV. We're gonna watch something called Sesame Street." And I just remember like
Oh my
blowing my mind. She gave me this Cookie Monster. And so that's when I knew that when I grew up, I was going to be Cookie Monster.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I guess I think even my first movie, I was like 3 years old, was the uh, Never-Ending Story.
Yes.
And my mom had to pull me and my little friend out of there when the horse started sinking, but she snuck us into the theater next door, and guess what was playing? The Muppets Take Manhattan.
Yes.
So that was like my first movie.
Yeah.
And then I think it was a special after Labyrinth that showed the behind the scenes, and that's when I first learned of like the term puppeteer and like saw like how this was all happening. And I was like, oh, and it just seemed so legit, and it was like that's it. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be a puppeteer. And like I remember being asked like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, yeah, no one's gonna laugh at me. I'm not gonna say Cookie Monster now. I know the right word. And I was like, I'm gonna be a puppeteer. And like I just remember my family like laughing at me, like I had said, like I want to be Cookie Monster. And it kind of like stuck, that kind of stuck. And I was like, well, I guess long story, like how I got into art, but like it kind of weirdly stuck with me that like you couldn't be a puppeteer. So I was like, I guess it's ceramics.
Uh-huh.
And
it's
so
it's good to have a backup for sure.
But that plate with the
with Jim and Frank on there.
Yeah, so that was like, oh, I guess I'll make ceramics, but this was like the ceramics I was making.
That's amazing. When did you make this? This is a plate. When did you make that?
Yeah, this is pretty old. I can't even, maybe like 16 years ago, 20, I don't know, 20 years ago.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started into ceramics. Did you like really get into ceramics when you went to college, or was it before that?
Yeah, I had like a pretty great mentor, high school art teacher. Like I was I was about to join the military. I'd never heard of art school. Like my friends, I didn't know like that was even an option. And I had this really supportive teacher like help me get into VCU in Richmond. And then I think I went to like the orientation where they showed you the different departments, like painting and printmaking. And when the crafts department came, I was like, I want to learn art, but I need to make money. I need to make a living.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the one like department or like field that seemed like, oh, this is how you can be an artist and make money.
That's cool. And I wasn't really that familiar with the craft side of fine art. Can you just talk a little bit about what that is, like how that distinction is made?
Craft, it includes I guess what would they be called? They're like old world trades, like glass blowing, metalsmithing, woodworking, ceramics, fiber arts.
That's cool.
So things that are like old trades, so a lot of utilitarian things, but then like in the past 100 years have become like, like a modern fine art. There's some like mix and overlap in the fine art world.
Does it have anything to do with how much utility those crafts have in the modern world? Like they kind of become art because they're not as necessary for life anymore?
Yeah, I guess so. I never question it too much. It's like, but there's definitely like a craft world that is somehow separate from like the sculpture world or fine art world. Mm-hmm. But I don't.
Okay, so that got you through. So you really studied ceramics all the way through college.
I studied metalsmithing.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah, and then I got into the ceramics towards the end of school.
We have some pictures of.
Some of your ceramics work.
This is like some newer stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have that one? I have like an older piece in there. It's like crazy brick wall. These are some of my like the newer things I'm making.
Yeah.
But that was like, okay, so in the craft world, a big way to kind of get your foot in the door of like getting collectors and like, you know, being able to make a living are people collect teapots. So this is
Uh-huh.
I started making sculptural teapots.
That's cool.
So this is actually a teapot.
Wow. That's amazing. That is so cool. You got into some like pretty prestigious like teapot collection, right? I was reading on your bio that like you're a part of a like a permanent teapot collection or a permanent like
I think that
or won
like
some awards for your teapots.
yeah, I just had I tried to network like crazy. Immediately after school, I was like I have to make this work. I got student loans. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was still working like all these other jobs and stuff, but I like got rented a studio, and I was like, I need to be making stuff. Like, in any spare moment, I need to be making things. So I was making all those teapots and sculptures, and I had a good friend connect me with a gallery in Columbus with Sherry Gallery, and she just really took me under her wing and showed my work at it's like a big craft conference in Chicago called SOFA.
Okay.
Pretty amazing. But yeah, at SOFA, that's like where she was able to show some of my work, which like then motivated me to make more work. So I was just like a ceramic making machine for like my early 20s. So it was landscaping, and I worked at a restaurant for a little while, but like all night in the studio just making ceramics.
That's cool. Okay, so how did that evolve into making puppets?
Okay, so then what? So wait, after I don't know.
I mean, it's like been simmering, right? It's like you've sort of established that like puppets are kind of your like in very deep in your early brain, you know, and your early creative brain. And like they're now you've developed all of your like you developed a lot of skills and like making stuff.
Right.
And now you're coming around to like how does making teapots translate into making puppets?
Okay, let me think. So okay, after school, I moved out to rented this small like a small farm. It was kind of like an old orchard, and it was a pretty good chunk of land. But I like sometimes I just like can't believe some of the prices on things. I think it was like 50 acres and it was $500 a month. Like in my early 20s.
Yeah.
Like nuts now. Like
That's
I'm like
crazy.
we didn't even know back then. Anyway, we had this piece of property, and I had a friend that had like a neighboring farm, like the same kind of like a caretaker thing, but we lived there. And I think we were so isolated out in the country, like that we just entertained ourselves through performance. And I think it started where we started just small parties. We found that Christmas backdrop. That's a photo in there somewhere with the kitty cat.
Oh yeah, with the cat and in the tutu.
Yeah, we found the Christmas backdrop in the trash. And then we had this like pile of old clothes and stuff and costumes, you know, because we got into performing for each other. So this kind of we're developing all these characters, you know, and taking photos in front of this thing just for entertainment.
Sure.
And then we started throwing these parties where we'd build stages and bars and like small city, and it was just like all out of junk, like pallets and just scrap wood and just these like junk cities. And then to entertain people that came, we like came up with these shows, you know, these like variety shows. And then we started then we had these parties more often, and it became like a venue. So people like traveling puppeteers and bands, and like we kind of became like a venue. And so those people inspired me. I think at some point I traveled to Vermont to visit friends and saw Bread and Puppet, and that was like a huge inspiration because it was kind of the same deal, like out in the middle of nowhere, and they're just you know, entertaining and like these massive puppets. So that really inspired me to start making like paper mache, like heads and masks, like that. So it was doing that. And that's the show. There's like a photo of like a guy kneeling on a trunk. And then there's like,
oh yeah. And the like dark colored mask in a suit.
yeah, like the Father Time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this play was like one of the first plays that we performed out on the farm, like at the edge of the woods.
Wow.
And like, it's all cardboard. Like I built that set and everything. This one was really cool. There's like a trap. I like that. I love that play a lot.
Did you write this as well? Like you
so
wrote all the shows?
Yeah, me and my ex-husband at the time had got together, and our friends would, they'd perform with us.
There's another photo we have of like a bunch of big cardboard masks in a field. Is that of the same time as well?
In a field?
This or like standing on the edge of the woods. These guys.
That's more recent.
That's more recent.
Yeah,
That's still very cool.
But still very cool.
These are my college students. This is like what happens when they let me teach 3D design. I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, how do you teach 3D design? They're like, Julie, you can do whatever you want. I was like, okay, we're making puppets.
That's amazing. Okay, so it's like you're kind of you're like inventing theater for yourselves in the middle of the woods.
Yes. And then I meet Lily Lamberta, who is a long-time company member of Bread and Puppet. And she's putting on a Halloween parade in Richmond, the first one. And I have a friend say, hey, this girl needs help. You want to come be part of this parade? I was like, sure. I think it was like 50 people the first parade or something. Little drums, dressed up. And then this is probably like year 10 or something, or 11.
Okay, cool.
So like I stalked Lily that night after the parade, and I was like, I like puppets too. Be my friend.
Yep, that sounds familiar.
So she was like, okay. She was down with it. I was like, oh, sweet, it worked.
Yeah. And
so we became friends, and then her theaters, All the Saints Theater, she would put on shows, and we put on shows, and Lily started organizing these spaghetti dinner events. Yeah. We performed together. At some point, we ended up living next door to each other, and we combined our backyards, and we just had these big dinners for the neighborhood, and like we were just always just hanging out. We had a band together. We were performing. So from Lily, I learned a lot of technical skills, like that she had the bread and puppet ways, like the cardboard armatures, and then the paper mache recipe, much more superior to what I was using. So
what were you using originally?
I think I was just mixing flour with water, cold.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then what was the improvement? That's sort of like what I would start with.
Boiling water, watered down cornstarch, add it to the boiling water, and it's like a thick, strong glue, and it doesn't attract critters.
Right. See, this is the knowledge you got to pass on. This is great. It's good stuff. Yeah. I'm writing it down.
So Lily taught me a lot, and we made a lot of stuff together, and I performed with her. She performed with me.
Yeah.
So I think there's a photo of us, our little crew. Yeah, there they are.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I was wondering who this crew was, and I was like, yeah, it looks like they're into some cool stuff.
So there's Lily in the middle. Can you?
The rainbow hat in the middle?
The top hat.
Top hat. Got it.
That's Lily. Can you find me?
I assume you're the one in the mask, like the big frog mask.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, what was this production like? What was this like? Just your everyday garb, or what was this for a particular production?
Yeah. Yeah, we performed. What was this? We performed at the Bird. It was a variety show. I can't remember the name of it. Lily would know.
That's amazing.
Memory's not good.
That's really cool. So, okay, so now you're into making theater and into making big masks, and and like big puppets.
Yeah.
But you've done some work with smaller puppets and puppets on screen. How does making masks sort of translate into what I guess more traditional styles of puppetry, or like smaller form puppets?
Say it again?
Well,
Sorry.
just like you're making lots of masks and theater productions and like big parade puppets and stuff, but you've also done a lot of work with smaller scale puppets, or like hand puppets or things like that.
Well,
how does that evolve out of big pageantry?
let's see. I guess I started dating Brad Moss, musician genius extraordinaire,
Mm-hmm.
and I got really inspired by he had a song called Quentin Tarantino, and I just like when I heard the song, I could envision like the whole music video. And I never made like a video. This is a long answer. I never made
What we're here for.
a music video before. And but I was like, I think I can do it. I've figured it out, right? And like but I didn't like really, I mean, it's a steep learning curve. I like didn't have a camera. I was like, but I sat down and watched like every Quentin Tarantino movie with the sound off and just studied it for like light and composition and like and I took notes and like I like just researched the shit out of cameras. Like I listened to like every like the direct like any interviews with filmmaker, just like put myself through like film school basically online. Made this music video. It wasn't perfect, but it was like, hey, that was better than I thought. So then I just got excited about like the collaboration with him making the videos for the music.
Yeah.
And then we thought like, but that video took a year, and like like scouting locations and like actors and like all this stuff. So we were like, no, we need to like speed it up, like and be more loose. So we did like a weekend project where I just like he like wrote a song real quick, and then I like built a set, and we're trying to get this thing done like in a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made this little puppet that was supposed to be a mock puppet. Like I was going to build a better one.
Sure.
And as soon as I finished him, he was like, hey, how's it going? Merv.
Is that Merv?
Yeah.
we have a picture of Merv. Merv has his own YouTube channel as well.
Yeah.
I noticed.
Yeah. So that was Merv's first music video debut. And he doesn't like talk or anything, but that's his first appearance in his own music.
So funny.
And then he started, asking a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I started recording it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he asked me if he could have a YouTube channel and do like interview people. So now he's got this like a little journalism thing going on.
That's great. What is he made out of? Is he like craft foam?
Yeah, it's just
There's no apologies here. The number of puppets that I've made out of just foam.
I just didn't want him to hear.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
The word. I get you. Retaliation from puppets who have overheard too much. It's an epidemic. Okay, so now we know how you got into puppetry. The question
ears are burning.
Yeah. Hey, Murph.
How's it going?
I'm doing great. I like your glasses.
Oh, thanks.
Is that a new addition?
Yeah, I figured I needed, something to make me look sassy.
Well, I think you're pretty sassy either way, but whatever floats your boat, man. They're pretty sharp on you.
Oh, thank you. So what's going on over here?
I'm interviewing Julie. What are you talking about?
Oh, for what? That's what I love. I love interviewing.
Yes, that's right. Well, I'm doing the interviewing right now. I'm interviewing Julie for my show. I'm a big fan of your show.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
What's your favorite episode?
I like the first minute and a half of the very first video because that's what
okay. You haven't watched it. That's all right. You can say you haven't watched it.
I'm just gonna be honest with you, but of that little bit that I've seen, huge fan. Oh. Also, I like what's going on right now. Like it's pretty. You got good style. I really appreciate the style.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, I've never been on this end before.
I know it's a little odd, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you like it so far, though?
So I guess it's all right.
It's all right. Well, I won't press you or anything. I mean, I got a couple more questions for Julie, but
Okay.
what's been your favorite? Okay, here's the question for you. If I was like, what's the first episode on your channel I should watch? Like, what's the one that like really is Merv for who Merv is?
Well, I guess you could start with the best of, and maybe if you see something in there you like, you could go to that episode.
Okay, that's a good idea. Put on.
I just kind of just started getting like the swing of things. We're all a little rusty.
Yeah, sure. You got to get your feet on. I mean, the first couple episodes of this show, I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. Maybe Katie can find that and put it in the. Maybe you put his best of in the chat. That'd be great.
I'll see if I can find it.
Okay, cool.
Well,
great. We're gonna get you. We're gonna get you dozens of more subscribers, Merv. We're gonna get you those big ad bucks.
Wow, I'd love that.
You know it. We're gonna get you the bump.
Awesome. Well, I gotta go.
Nice talking to you, buddy.
You two kids have fun.
Okay, bye. Love it. I'm fully on board with Merv.
I didn't tell Merv I made a movie. Thanks for not bringing that up.
Yeah, well, just make sure he's out of earshot because I want to get into that a little bit. He seems like he could really fly off the handle. You don't want to be on Merv's bad side. That's all I can tell. Here's a question though for you. Now that we know like how you get into puppetry, what do you feel like? What do you feel like keeps you in puppetry?
It keeps me.
Yeah. Like what keeps you coming back, or like what keeps you thinking about puppets and masks and stuff?
Puppets and masks.
Well, clearly there's so many things that you can do. I always find that it's cool because all of the people that I interview here can do so many things, and they make a conscious choice one way or another to use those talents for puppetry, use those skills for puppets.
Well, I guess I stayed in it for so many years because a huge part of my life was teaching. And so it was like, I didn't like talk until I was like 25. I couldn't talk. Like debilitatingly could not speak.
Interesting.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm revving up for a long one.
That's all right. Let's get into it.
All right. So yeah, I couldn't talk. So like my early, like being a kid, the way I could like connect with people, somehow I figured out that I could like draw like okay. And so I would like draw all these little cartoons, like give them to people or like I'd sell them. I had this comic that was called The Bald Eagle, and it was just like a cartoon like chicken with no feathers, like holding its private area. And I'd like slide it over to people, and like on the top it said The Bald Eagle, and they'd be like, "Oh, Julie's so funny!" Huh? So it was like a way of like making friends.
Yeah.
And like actually like talk, like getting people to like me, But it's probably still that.
That's totally fair.
So like when I was 25, the work I was doing, it was exhausting me, and I was like, and I still had that like debilitatingly weird, like I can't talk to people, I'm socially really awkward, and a friend of a friend his daughter was in high school, and they were looking for an art teacher, and they like, because of my ceramics, they're like, "Oh, Julie, you should teach." And I knew, like, I was like, "Oh, there's no way in hell I could like command the classroom or even like talk in front of people." But I was like, I have to do this, or I'm gonna be stuck like doing manual labor. Like, I'm like, this is like an opportunity. I have to do this. So I took the job, and I had no business. I was like 25 teaching high schoolers, which was like, it was all right, but like I survived and I did it, and that that got me a little bit over my like issues with communication, and then the big one that just like cracked my like talking out of me was the canoe trip to Key West.
Oh yeah, we have a picture of that too.
I'm very jealous of this picture.
Yeah, it's great.
I mean, it looks, yeah, it looks like grill. So I lost my job, lost my house. Like the landlords needed our house back. And like all of a sudden, me and my husband at the time were like in this weird situation where we like didn't have a job, didn't have a house, but we had a canoe.
Uh-huh.
And I had like $1,000 saved up. And my friend, I don't know where he got this idea, but he's like, you want to paddle this canoe down to Key West and see if we could like live in Key West? And I was like, okay. It was like another thing, kind of like, you know, people tell you do something crazy, travel when you're young, you know,
Sure.
do all this stuff. And I was like, well, this is kind of probably the only opportunity I'll be able to do something like this, like, or, like travel, or I don't know, and like a feat of strength. Like I didn't particularly think of myself as like very brave or strong, you know, but it's kind of inspired by people, like just people doing crazy stuff. Have you seen that movie Big River Man?
I have not seen that movie.
It's pretty great.
No,
I don't think I have.
It's this guy, this guy, he's a documentary maker, makes a documentary about his father who decides to swim all the world's like filthiest rivers, like just swim them to like raise awareness to the water. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy's just wild. Like, so he's not like an athlete or anything. And he even says, he's like, I'm a little overweight. I drink too much. But he's like swimming like I think the documentary follows him swimming the Amazon River.
Oh, wow.
Right. And it's pretty cool. Like you should watch it. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So like watching stuff like that inspired me. I was like, I want to do like test myself. Like what am I made out of, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So we did it. And it took 81 days.
Wow.
81 days of crazy stories, I could tell you. We probably need to come out with the book, but we're not like talking right now. But anyway, like doing something like that, it came down to like finding food, and you really had to rely on the help of strangers, which made you talk. So it's like a cracked open, like when you're like in this like the extreme survival thing that we put ourselves in, like you had to have water. It just got rid of that like social, like whatever reason you feel awkward, or I don't know what my problem was, but like it like forced me to talk.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So then I stayed in Key West once down there and started working at the Boys and Girls Club. And I basically just started, like, you weren't really required to do anything with the kids. You could just sit there or whatever. But like, I just created this like art studio. Like we started dragging cardboard into it and collecting paint and like making, I like applied for grants and we were like making tile mosaic murals. And so one of the photos, and it was just like, this is Miss Julie's world of puppets. They have dragon boat races down there. So I got the kids to design like a huge dragon to do like a ceremony for the dragon boat races. So I have one of those photos.
Oh yeah. That's you with this
That's me with the 8-year-olds. Yeah, can you zoom in on me scrutinizing the puppeteering of the 8-year-old children?
Let's see.
That's really funny. Your face in there. Yeah, just make sure their technique is up to snuff, because really, that's really what it's about.
Judgmental. So doing really that, I lived down there doing that for like a couple of years, and then when I came back up, I was like, man, I just want to fill my time with teaching and mentoring. So like that's what I did. I started working for Boys and Girls Club here, and then a community art center, which had me like, I had worked with all kinds of people. It was just like, it really like just blew my world open, like, and it supported me. Like I got to like meet all kinds of people, like maybe feel like I was serving people, you know, with puppetry and art, and yeah, so that's what also kept me going, was like bringing some sort of joy to people, you know. I work with like old folks in the like nursing homes and
Mm-hmm.
kids after school,
Mm-hmm.
people with brain injuries. It was just like I felt like it was a way to support myself doing something that was like felt like the right thing, you know, or like
That's awesome.
yep.
That's really, really great. I love that story. How did you get back from Key West? You didn't paddle back, did you?
My friends came and picked me up, and then I had to kind of our marriage fell apart, but I had to like I ended up going back down there and like with I got a van. And
Mm-hmm. Now you recently have been pouring yourself back into ceramics full time and like making a real go of your studio, and like selling your ceramics and things like that. How did that, like, where did that decision come out of? And because you've been teaching a bunch since then, right? And now you've just switched over to doing like making ceramics full time.
yep. When let's see what happened. My mom got sick in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a lot. We had a lot of deaths in the family in 2019, both Brad and I together. It was
So sorry.
really rough. And then the end of 2019, my mom got sick, and I went down to. I had to leave that semester when I was teaching at Virginia State, and I had to leave the winter semester of 2019, and take care of my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And she passed in February. So then I also missed that next semester
Mm-hmm.
caretaking. So it was still like up in the air, and then COVID happened. So then it was like kind of up in the air, like, oh, do I go back to teaching? And while I was trying to like figure out if that was the right thing to do, Heather Henson slid in my DMs and was like, hey, we have this opportunity. And I was like, what?
That's amazing.
Well, yeah. So I did the proposal,
Yeah.
got accepted, and then the contract was the exact same amount of money as a semester teaching.
Right.
And I'm like, this is a sign. Not that it was bad, but I think it was like it seemed pretty like an obvious sign to like go really hard with the movie, you know?
Yeah.
And just, and then so after, you know, the movie's done, it's like, all right, I got to make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never really gone all in on it. I've always kind of relied on some secondary job or income, and thinking that I would, if I'm only working part-time, the rest of the time I can do my business, but that never turns out that way. It's like,
right.
It still sucks your energy and stuff. So this is the first time, I guess, not having any income kind of lights a fire in your ass to like really make it happen. And also just like the experience with death and all that, it just gets you kind of like living a different way. Like,
interesting. Yeah. I'm so sorry to hear about your mom. I know that you dedicated your movie to her, which is really beautiful. And hearing all of your stories about your life also like really, because we in the cohort, we've all watched each other's movies now. We all have had a private screening amongst each other. And like that, I feel like that sheds so much, like I'm thinking back on what your movie looks like, and it's like a completely different movie to me, like knowing more about you, which is great. Like, I feel like I got to know a little bit about you through your movie. And now it's like, it's just a really great reflection of who you are, and like really makes, like, I don't know. It's really beautiful how much of you I can see in the film that you've made.
I saw that with everyone too. I was like, because we kind of got to know each other, just like personality, like little, and then I felt like I was like seeing into everybody's hearts, and like I was like, oh, everybody's just a little sweetheart. Like, aren't they? I was like,
it's true. It's a really great group of artists, all doing amazing work. I can see, so one of the fox that's over your right shoulder,
Oh yeah.
that fox head, there you go, is that's from the movie. Can you tell me a little bit about, like, it's just stunningly beautiful. Can you tell me a little bit about how this is made?
Yeah, it's just these are my secrets.
Yeah, I want to know all the
Need
secrets.
money for this, people.
Here, maybe let me go
Well,
wider.
Yeah, let's go to a wider shot view. Yeah.
Here, I'll pull the foam. This is just some crappy foam. My
Yep.
furniture. I have a friend who's a upholsterer, so I get her foam.
That's a handy friend.
Shout out to Sarah G. So these are just shoved in there to squeeze around the puppeteer's head.
Uh-huh.
This is like, I mean, it's so crude. It's just a cardboard strip armature.
Mm-hmm. So you put that, do you put that together over a form first?
Nah, I just kind of build it. I
Just kind of build it?
start with the circle, and then a strip this way,
Uh-huh.
and then a strip this way,
Uh-huh.
and then just start adding strips.
That's cool. And so it's got then like a
Yeah,
paper mache shell in the middle of all that?
and then so you have the armature, which looks like, it just looks like a frame, and then you just start cardboard paper macheing over top. And then I kind of like prided myself for a lot of Lily's influence and stuff, and just being resourceful. I kind of prided myself on like just using trash and cardboard and stuff like that. But this was the first time I purchased some foam. So the
Oh, so those are all foam pieces. That's not cardboard.
but that big blue rabbit, that's all
Oh,
card.
yeah. We have
That's all
a picture of that. I love that one too. That's cool.
That's all cardboard.
Big blue rabbit.
And
This reminds me of Wayne White. Are you familiar with Wayne White's art?
Yeah, it was like I got to meet him at his show in Virginia Beach, and I just like made a big ass of myself and like but yeah, I got to meet him.
That's amazing.
I was like, I did the same thing. I was like, my name's Julie, I make puppets, I love you.
Yeah, I think
You influenced my childhood.
that's amazing. I'm super curious because you have so much experience with so many different kinds of materials, and you studied material sculpture and material that was a big part of your education, was like different properties of different materials and like how to use materials and things like that. I'm really curious about how you feel like what you build the puppet out of, or what you build your piece out of, whether it's a puppet or not, impacts like the character of what it is, or how much does that play into like the story that you're telling, or the character that comes out of your art.
I don't know. Maybe not much, because I'm trying to think if I even think of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe it's just intuitive, but
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of Merv. If you look at him, he's kind of a crabby puppet. There's like hot glue
Oh
and
yeah.
like dirty.
Oh yeah. Some of my favorite puppets are like these ones above me. Like their faces are masking tape over pieces of foam, or it's not to me the material is a part of it. I work a lot in cardboard as well, for similar reasons, like it's available and cheap, and I don't know, I always feel like it's a temporary medium for me. Like I end up working in cardboard. I hardly ever start out thinking that it should be cardboard in the end. But I know I'm curious about like process for you, and just getting ideas out of your head and into the real world. Sort of what that, like how that, what form that takes.
Well, like a lot of the puppets that are in the recent movies just started out as demos from my class, my 3D design class.
Oh yeah.
So they weren't even like intended to be used in anything, but I figured that maybe the opportunity would arise if I made it. So
Mm-hmm.
they did. They ended up being used. So the let's see, this kind of formed organically. I think that I was like, I want to make a big puppet, like the blue one. I was like, I want it to be big. Everybody, let's all make big puppets. And then the face started coming together, and I was like, okay, what is this? And then I'm like, oh, okay, it's a rabbit. And then I make it a rabbit. Then I'm like, all right, what color? And then I have like a kind of like a vision wall. Here's like a color.
Oh yeah.
Oops,
Love that.
confusing.
Ooh, there you go.
So like just different artists I admire, and photos of just colors that I think are cool.
Yeah.
Then I'll kind of use stuff like that to like come up with colors.
Uh-huh.
Then I don't know. Think like the 48-hour thing I did. That was just completely inspired by the music and what do I have available. And then the movie for Handmade Puppet Dreams, like the Lily who played my possum, like she's the one that brought that character to life, and like she did something that I would have never, like the character would not be the same if I was in there. It wasn't. It's not about the way the puppet's built. Because I think I tried to reshoot some scenes that she wasn't available for, and it like I went back and looked at it. I'm like, no, this is garbage. Like, oh, it takes talent. Like, so,
Right.
like it's not just the costume. I'm like, she's
Right.
performing. Yeah. So I don't know. Does that answer it?
Yeah, I love that. Do you want to make like how? I mean, I know for me, making any kind of project, there's a period in the middle where I just feel terrible about everything, and that usually ends up positively on the other side. Like I usually feel good on the other side. Do you feel like you want to make more films after this or after the Puppet Dreams thing? What do you like about filmmaking that's different than other media that you've worked in? I mean, that's a pretty enthusiastic response, which I love.
Or I don't know. It's kind of like a high, isn't it? It's kind of like nerve-wracking, and then it just seems impossible too. Like I'm like, the things I want to have happen, and then I'm like, and it's like just like trying to think back to like, okay, how am I going to make a movie? And now look, and that's like just only a few months later, and it's like it exists. Like it's just like it's magic. It's like real magic. Yeah, I want to make another one. I can't figure out like what part of it. Do you like know what part of it like that you're like you would like, or do you know the parts that you would rather hand off to other people? Like,
oh man, I mean, it's the administration and producing that I genuinely loathe. And that's like a lot of my day to day. Like I loathe it. I just, it's just like, it's eating your vegetables for me. And it's like necessary work. And I feel like good about my ability to do it, but I almost never look forward to it. What I want to do is like build puppets and perform puppets. And so like being in front of the camera is great. And in some regards, editing is pretty good, although it's a different kind of performance. And like making puppets is pretty good, although again, it's totally different kind of satisfaction. But I do like having something that it's very different than theater for me, that having something in the can, like having a thing that I can show and like give to people in a different way than performing, which happens and then evaporates. Is satisfying in a lot of ways.
Yeah, there were so many magical like theater moments that like the high of that, and then it's like, well, you just had to keep doing it over and over again to capture it.
I will say I really like the collaborative aspect of working in the theater, and that is a big hurdle for me when I'm making films. And that was one of the reasons why having the the commission cohort was so important, because making films that's when I felt the isolation, when I was just like doing something just like in my own room, like with nobody else, not without having to tell anybody else about it or collaborating with anybody else about it. That I did not like. Whereas theater, I feel very much the collaboration is what fuels me. So being able to like meet with you and the rest of the cohort and everything, and like see how people were going, was really a big part of it. I don't know. How did that feel working remotely from Virginia?
Like, I hate saying this because I know that people, how do I say this and not being like callous? The amount of the intensity of the grief I was going through,
Yeah.
and how far I live out in the country, you kind of can't tell that there's a pandemic, really.
Yeah.
So I was kind of oblivious to it a little bit. I mean, and then, but then it started, like, and I could really start feeling it, and like how it was affecting the world and everybody, like, and yeah, and then I start feeling the isolation, and then it was like a mixture of like the grief hole and the everybody stressed.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, that was my first Zoom meeting ever.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I remember, like, I was just so excited to like meet some new people and hang out.
Well, I'm sure glad to be included in that group. I'm really happy to meet you through this as well, and today, like, this has just been great talking with you. I think your film is just absolutely gorgeous. The work you do is phenomenal. Can't wait to see all the other stuff that you do next. Where can people find your work nowadays?
I have an Instagram. I sell pottery. You can buy some pots.
Yes. Daptooth Studios.
Yeah, and then I have a link on my Instagram to my Etsy and webpage and stuff like that.
Great.
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really looking forward to, you and I and the other directors from the Handmade Puppet Dreams, you'll be at the Q&A session after the screening on Saturday?
Yep, I'll be there.
Awesome. We'll be there. Katie's going to put in the chat the link to the event where you can watch the screen or watch all the films and then chat with all the directors. We'd love to see you all there. Julie, it has been an absolute delight talking with you. I'm really happy to have you on the show.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. It's
Absolutely. Really and yeah, we'll see you soon.
Okay.
Bye. Thanks, everyone. We've come to an end of another Puppet Time Online. Thanks again for joining us. Thanks again to my guest, Julie Elkins. You should definitely check out the screening. You should check out her website. Thanks, Katie. JulieElkins.com. You should check out the screening this Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern of all of the films that were made in quarantine through this grant, including mine and about a dozen other incredible artists. And they're all incredible films. And like we were talking about, they all reflect they really, really reflect the artist who made them in a really amazing way. You can find out more about Puppet Kitchen at our Instagram. We started the show on Instagram Live, so we've got a good presence there. And you can find out more about our work at puppetkitchen.com. You can also check out the Puppet Kitchen store to pick out some merch. And we have a Patreon account, which is brand new, to help support this show. So please check that out at patreon.com/puppetkitchen and subscribe to become a supporter of this show and all of the work that Puppet Kitchen does. And I think that's it. My gosh, another show. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll catch you next week, next Wednesday at 2 o'clock, right in the middle of the week. I'll have Katie here and another amazing guest. So until then, just remember, you don't have to do everything to do something. We'll see you next time.